I'm going to start now, like I said, explaining how to apply a patch for the patch testing. This can be very simple depending on which environment are you using, because it's not the same. For example, there was this person is not here now, but he was using Laravel herd. Is very similar to local WP or to, for example, FlyM on all these software that can be installed on Windows. But the difference between using this system and, for example, the official WordPress, I'm going to show it here because in the morning I didn't show. As I said, for the ones that were here this morning, I didn't show the WordPress repository. Now it's going to be important to know how to install this, especially for the second part where we are going to do unit testing. So in this case, here, this is the official repository. You can, as I said this morning, you can fork this repository. One question, can you see my scroll? Or I'm sharing the,
Yes,
okay, I'm sharing the screen directly, so it's easier to see my scroll. So in this case, I like I commented this morning, you can fork the repository, but for testing purpose, it's not 100% necessary. The thing here, I've prepared my own terminal. I don't really need to show the code part because, as I said, we are going to focus on testing. No, so here, for example, um, first of all, we have to set up the environment. No, so here we get the URL. Here we can get it here or here, wherever you prefer, and then you go to the terminal and you have to clone it. No, git clone, and you put the URL for the, if you have your fork. Let's say you are called Harry, you put your name because you have forked it. Okay, this is very typical GitHub if you have ever worked with GitHub. Okay, and now when you have this clone, it will be a new folder like this where you have the full project. The difference here is that the project, when you download it from trunk, you have all the project files apart from the WordPress itself directory. So the directory for WordPress is SRC. You can come here and you can see the typical files in WordPress. No, here I have some special directories because I've been testing lately some patches and I have some leftovers. But for the normal download or clone of the repository, you will have the clean version. Okay. Now, as I said this morning, first of all, you have to install dependencies. So you need a Node version 20. This is very important because, for example, in my case, let's see, for example, we have all these versions, no, for Node. Generally, I tend to work with the latest Node when I'm working with JavaScript in general. But when I change to work to patch, to work with Apache in WordPress or to test something or whatever, I have to change to 20. Version 2018 is the latest and it's working perfectly. Okay. So this is very important. We have to work in Node version 20 for now. Maybe in the future we can update, but if we don't, if we use another version, it will throw a lot of errors and we will go crazy and won't be able to patch correctly and comfortably. Secondly, we have to install the dependency. So we have to do npm install. This will install the dependencies locally in the directory of WordPress develop. If we want to install the dependencies globally, we have to put the G, okay? But in this case, we can do it like this, okay? It will install all the dependencies. I have them all already installed, so it will take very, very short, because it's only checking if I have them installed, which I have. Okay. After we have all the instructions, as you can see here in the back, are here, everything. Okay. But I'm doing a little showcase so you can see exactly how to do this. Now we do the npm run, as I explained this morning, to compile the JavaScript and CSS. We are not compiling, we are only moving and minifying. But this is important only exclusively when we are going to be working with JavaScript or CSS files. Okay, this is very important. You have to, every time you get a new patch that changes CSS or JavaScript, you have to run this command. Okay, so now we run the command. This takes a little bit more. Okay, and another thing, while it runs the thing, I want to comment another little thing. It's not very important, but if you run npm run build instead of build deb, the difference is that it will compile the WordPress like when we download from the WordPress site, exactly the same, but in a folder that is called build. So if you want an exact copy for your testing purpose for whatever, you have to run build, not build dev. Build dev is only for development. Okay, and there is another command that is build dev watch, and if you put build dev watch, it will be checking all the time for changes. So this is useful when we are creating a new patch, but we are testing, so we are not going to be doing that. We only need to run build dev, okay, for testing purpose. Next is we have to start Docker. This is the part where we start Docker. We have to have, as I said this morning, Docker installed. You have to go to docker.org and install the latest package and make sure it's running. Okay. If it's running and if it's everything okay, you will see something like this. Okay. Sometimes you get some errors depending on the Docker version and some other factors, but don't worry too much. It's very common. I've tried to solve all this problem with the people from the build section of WordPress, but still there are some little things to be tweaked. The important thing is this. If this happens, it means that our local environment is working. And finally, we have to run install. This is going to configure everything, and we will have everything configured so we can access directly to our WordPress install. In this case, I have it already installed, so I'm not going to run it because it is not necessary. So now we have this running. We can go to the browser and we can go to localhost 8889, and here we have our local. This is the official method to test WordPress, but you can use, as I say, local WP. You can use Laravel herd. You can use. Okay, I have a lot of people in the waiting room. Sorry, I'm going to add them all. Sorry. Okay. You can use Laravel herd, the local WP, or FlyM, whatever you prefer. But the official one is the one I'm explaining now. Okay. So now that we have our Docker running and we have we can access directly. So we can go here, WP admin and user admin and password. This is password, okay? And we can go in. And now we have a completely running system in the trunk version, in the trunk branch, okay? In this case, 6.9 alpha. It's always gonna be an alpha version, okay? If you are working with a local version, like I say, Laravel herd or whatever, to go into the 6.9 alpha, you have to clone the repository and access from there. And if you are downloading the package from WordPress.org, you will need a plugin that is called beta testing, I believe. I'm not 100% sure, but it's like beta testing plugin or something like that. Let me check in a second. Okay, here is WordPress beta tester, and here we can select which version we want to use. We want to use a nightly version. You are going to hear a lot the word nightly. No, nightly is the same as alpha, okay, or trunk is the same. The only difference is that the nightly is generated only once a day in the night. This is why it's called nightly. and the alpha, you can have it downloaded whenever you want from here. You can update it and it will work perfectly, okay? Also, if you want to update to the last, remember we have Git installed here, we have to do a Git pull, okay? And if new patches have been introduced, we will pull them into our local repository. Okay, now we have our testing platform deployed. Now it's time to apply a patch. And this is the second question that we were saying this morning, how to apply a patch. It's very simple. In this case, let's put this example, no, that I believe that Akram was asking me for this example, so I'm going to use it. 1 second, let me check. Okay, here it is. There are two types of patch. There is the GitHub patch, is this. For example, we can go inside the GitHub public, pull request, and we can check the information of the patch, etc. And there is another type of patch that is also very common, that is the ones that people upload, and you can find them here. It will be like something like, for example, in this case, 63529.patch or .div. In both cases, you don't have to download the patch. We have tools that will help a lot for integrating this patch. For example, let's say we want to integrate this. There is this is the GitHub one, no? We get the URL of the patch and of the pull request, and we run this command. You have to take a note of this command because it's not clearly documented anywhere. You can find it if you look inside the repositories, but it's not very clear. I found it like with experience and all that, okay? But you know, it's a good thing to know. Git npm run grunt, and then patch, and you put the URL of the of GitHub in the full URL, and then you run it. When you do this, it will run like a mechanism that integrates the modified patch. In this case, as you can see, this is the file that has been modified by this patch, okay? Also, imagine now that instead of a GitHub patch, what we have is a regular patch here. As I say, 63529.div or .patch, okay? So in this case, it's even more simple because you only have to put here the number of the report. In this case, this, no? 63529, okay? So now we put this here, 63529. In this case, there are no patches, so it's going to throw an error. But if there were any patches, you could select the patch and it will integrate this. So very simple. Both methods, both GitHub or the patch inside the report are the method to integrate. Okay, let's say that you are using Laravel Herd instead of the official system that we are using now, no? Let's say that we are in Laravel Herd. For Laravel Herd, there are two methods. Imagine that is GitHub. In this case, the GitHub patch. So I have a command that I found somewhere, I think was made by Joe McKeel from Core Committers. Let's check. This is not the command. I'm going to check here what is the command because I have it in the as an alias for doing this, you know. So in this case, I created this alias. You can copy if you want. This is going to be recorded. So if you want to go through this later and check this, no problem. But this is the command, exactly. This is the command. GH, you need the GH application. You have to download it from GitHub. It's an application from GitHub. So you first have to download the GH application. GH is an application that helps integrating patches from GitHub. Okay, so you run GH PR div and this is the repository from WordPress where we are going to pick the patch from, and here we end with patch. This is really the command that brings a patch, okay? But with this full command, what we do is running gh patch. In this case, this is for people that are using, as I say, Laravel Herd, for example, because for the people that are using the official system, we can use the grand command I showed before, okay? So for the people with Laravel here, for example, or with local or whatever, we run, in this case, gh patch, and the number of the patch, in this case, is 8901. 8901. And I'm going to remove press the patch so you can see this. GH patch 8901, no? Yes, 8901, and patching file, and now we can see that the file has been patched. Okay, perfect. Very simple. What about the patch that you have to download? First, you download the patch into here in the directory, and then you run patch p1 and the name of the patch. Let's say that the name of the patch is this. For example, you run this and you get the patch going. Okay. Sometimes some patches you run this and they fail. They throw errors. This means that the patch is not applying. And if the patch is not applying, we have to set certain keywords. And this is the thing that I'm going to be talking now about the keywords. Here are the keywords. In this case, if you find errors during the patch, you go here and you say need refresh. Need refresh means the patch needs a refresh. Okay? Needs to be updated because I cannot apply the patch to test it. You put here need refresh, and then you write I've tried to use the patch and it's not applying. Okay. Please, generally, I like to mention the person that did in this case is Rolly Bueno. Please update the patch. Refresh the patch. Refresh the patch. And you send it. And now you are going to be sending with needs refresh a new comment. Okay, I'm going to talk quickly. No, I'm not going to take too long because this is super long and I'm probably going to be doing another video in the future about this topic. But I'm going to comment very, very, very briefly about what I call the workflow. Okay, this is a little complex, I understand. I'm going to focus only on the 3 keywords that are key for the testers that are starting today. Okay, here when we start here in the triaging, what they call triaging loop. The triaging is the thing we did this morning. Now we are here in the testing loop. Okay, for the triaging loop, as I commented this morning, what we have to check if a new report is valid for WordPress. If yes or not. If it's not, we have to close it and we say, okay, sorry, but this report is not valid. So you put invalid or won't fix in case we cannot fix it, okay, for whatever reason. Then we have to do some checks. I'm not going to go into this because this is very specific. And we can, for example, ask for more requirements. I commented this morning. For example, we check the report and we see that we don't understand something. We need more information. We need more instructions. Then we will use the reported feedback keyword. Okay, we put reported feedback. As I said, when we go here in this section, we have a lot of keywords, and there is one that is reported feedback. We put here, we click on reported feedback, and then we can say, sorry, but I don't understand the instructions. Can you provide more detailed information? For example, this is an example. Okay, so I continue to the thing. If we have enough information, we can reproduce the patch, and we find that this is a bug in this case. Then we do what we call the bug reproduction report. This is the thing we have been doing this morning, okay? So up to here, this is everything I've already explained, okay? Now we go into the next section. The next section is the development group. The development group is nothing that is related to testing, okay? This is for once we have reproduced the patch, what we do is, okay, we have reproduced the patch. Now we go here and we add needs patch here, okay? Needs patch. Needs patch means, okay, we have reproduced the report and we have found that there is a bug here. So we need a patch. So now we add the needs patch. Okay, so we have talked about reporter feedback and needs patch. Okay, now when the developer comes here into this report, he say, okay, this report need a patch. I'm going to do a patch. He develops the patch, he sends it, and now we go what we have been talking now. We get this patch and we test it, okay? And depending on the results of the testing, we have to put one keyword or another, okay? Generally, not always, but generally, when you send a patch, automatically, especially when you do it from GitHub, automatically a new keyword appears that is has patch. This one, okay? Has patch. This means, okay, this ticket has patch. So now we can go as testers and test the patch. But not always. Sometimes the people forget to put the keyword. In that case, we cannot do anything. If they forget, that ticket is probably going to be lost in oblivion. So we cannot worry about this. We can only worry about the patch that has the keywords, that we can find them and test them, okay? So now, ideally, the people that create the new patch has to add the needs testing keyword. Not everyone does. For example, I know some people that are doing this correctly. For example, Nikun, I've seen that he has published many patches in the past, and he always put the needs testing keyword. This is the correct way to work when you publish a patch. Because now, this is the part we are going to go into now. We are going to test this patch, okay? So, sorry, test no. We are going to find this patch because we have to find it. To really to work on this, we have to find it. How do we find this? There are various methods. The best method for me is having what I call a predefined query. I'm going to post this URL that is very useful because it throws all the reports that need patch, that are, as you can see, a lot. There are 600 reports that need a testing report, okay? I'm going to put it in the chat if you want to copy. I have this query saved in my bookmarks because this is the one I'm constantly using for testing. When I want to test, I go here, I put this URL, and I start from the top. Or depending, some days I like to get the old ones, 8 years ago, and I get one from the back. It doesn't matter. I like both because sometimes I like to get the fresh ones, and other times I like to get the old ones, depending on my mood, okay? It doesn't matter. The thing here is that now we have to get one. In this case, for example, we are going to start with this, for example. Let's see. This is important. I don't have like a specific, I also have a list I'm going to show later. I'm going to post the link, a list of tickets that I recommend testing because they are tickets that are very well documented. They have testing information. Like you are going to be successful on the testing process. And it's very rewarding to have success because you see that you are doing some useful work. But when you go here in a random ticket, as I'm doing now, you are a little on risk that you don't understand anything and you have to try to figure out what to do with the ticket in this case. So for example, in this scenario, we have, it's talking about theme 2019, social icons, block, text is underlined in the post content. In theme, social icons, block text does not have text decoration at the editor, but have text decoration underlined in the front end. Okay, this is very easy. As we can see, this is very easy to reproduce. So probably, maybe, not sure, Yes, here there is Sineth that has already checked this, and he has also offered a test report. As we can see, there is a test report where it should not fully resolve with the patch. The patch fails to apply. Okay, so this may need a refresh. Let's see. There is another report here. Issue is not fixed. People is saying that the patch is not fixed, but the fun thing here is very funny for me is the thing that it has the need testing keyword. No, we can. In fact, something I like to do is to check when the need testing. Why not searching? When the need testing here, when here the need testing keyword was add, no? So from here to the bottom, no one took the time to remove this keyword. And it's important to remove it because otherwise we come here and we see that there are nothing to test. In this case, for example, there is nothing to test because there are no new patches after the one that was sent. In this case, for example, here there are some steps to reproduce. That is very good. And we have this patch that I don't know if it has been updated. Let's check. For example, here there are some updates. For example, this one and this one. This one was updated the 21st of February. Okay, the 21st of February. So let's see, for example, this 5 month. This was on March. So this is testing already the changes, and this is also testing the changes. What I don't understand is it says 5 months ago. I don't know why. I don't know. But this probably is older. If it's 5 months old, this might be from February, no, or something like that, or January. But I don't understand why it says it is from March. I don't understand. But this probably has had updates, so probably this needs another test. So maybe this is an interesting ticket. I'm going to put it in the keyword update. It's only where Krupa has commented in the chat. The keyword update is only way we can have latest info status about the ticket. Yes, exactly. Okay, so I'm going to put this ticket on the chat because this is going to be one that we can be testing in a couple minutes. Okay. So again, I'm going to also post now the list I was telling, no, that is a list that we are going to be using also now. Let me 1 second. Very useful, this list, because it's a list that I've been curating manually, and it shows a list of tickets. I'm going to put it here so you can see this. It's a list of tickets, all these tickets that I've been personally testing them, and they all need a second test because generally the ideal is 2 tests per ticket. Okay, so in this case, for example, we have this one. You can enter here and you can see that there is only one reproduction and a patch. In this case, there is 0 test. So this is a good example to test, for example. So this, I'm going to put it also in the chat. Anyway, there are a couple other reports here. So I think that if anyone wants to contribute now, there is going to be 1 ticket for everyone. Okay, so I think that I'm going to go back to the diagram. Here we have the needs testing. Okay, now we have to test the patch, check if it refresh. As I say in the beginning, it doesn't refresh, it doesn't apply. Okay, we need to refresh. So we put this keyword, okay, and we wait until the patch creator refresh the patch, and we can proceed to test again. Okay, once the patch applies and we can test it, The second check is if it's visually clear, the changes. If not, we have to put the needs screenshots, okay? There is another keyword that is need a screenshot. Okay, now we have to wait again until the patch creator updates the screenshot, and now we have the thing visually clear. Next thing we have to check is technically clear, because sometimes, as I said, although we have some reproduction steps, we can find that there is another thing introduced with the patch that is not technically clear. So we don't understand exactly what the patch is doing. Also, very important, there are some tickets that put the patch directly. Like they go, put the ticket, and the next comment is the patch. Nothing in between. No reproduction report, anything. The report and the patch. So in this case, we can assume that the patch creator is the same as the reporter. So in this case, probably we will need to ask for more information, like how can I test this patch? And the reporter has to give us some information. There is a article I wrote like 1 month ago approximately. I'm going to put it also here in the chat. Krupa, I cannot share the diagram yet because I'm still building it. This is one of the things I was commenting the other day in the chat, because this is part of the new workflow process I'm doing. So I can share, like a pair of screenshots, but this is not 100% definitive. So I don't want to make confusion. Okay, I'm only using it to explain the basic elements, like for example, the reported feedback and the needs testing and all that. These are the most important ones that we are going to be using for testing in the daily. But there are a lot of others like this one and this that are not yet 100% defined. Okay, so let's continue with this. I'm going to share I have shared in the chat a link. I'm not going to go much in detail on this because this is a little bit not very complex, but only a little bit. And here, this is a post that explains how to build a testing use case. But this is not for the testers. This is for the developers that sometimes they create a patch, they throw the patch to the testers, to us, and now we have to understand what this patch is doing. It's impossible sometimes to understand this. How can we understand this? The only way is that the creator of the patch explains with detail to us what he's doing. In that case, if we don't understand, we can say, please, can you give me more information? And if the person says, I don't know how to give you more information because I've done the patch and it's working for me. So then what you can do is get this link and post it in the report. You say, okay, please, can you read this article and understand how to build what I call a testing use case? I have a lot of examples, as you can see here. These are examples that I've been doing over the months that explain how to do very useful testing use cases, okay? So this is only in the case that we don't understand how can we test that patch. Here we are in technically clear. Is technically clear for us? No. Okay, please, can you provide me a new testing use case? And you put the need test info keyword, okay? Like I said before, we go into the section where we have the keywords, and there is one that is need test info, okay? And we put that, and then we say, sorry, I can't understand how I can test that patch. Can you provide more info? Or can you please provide an testing use case? And in this case, I can link using the markup system. I put this, and now the person can see this. No, can you provide a use case or a testing use case? Okay, so this is the mechanism to ask for more information to do the testing. Okay, So finally, once we have all the information and once we have everything ready, perfect to do the patch report, now we go, as I explained this morning, we go and we do the patch testing report just for refreshing for anyone that has come now in the evening. There is a plugin that is called test report. Is this one, the purple one? Okay, you go, you activate it. I have it already installed, but you activate it. And here in tools, test reports, and here we have the two main reports that we are going to be using in the world of testing: bug reproduction, that is the thing we did this morning, and patch testing, that is the thing that we are going to do this evening. Okay, so we get this and we filled it like I explained. You can put also the instructions. I like to put the instruction here. I put testing instructions, like another title. No, we have an environment, actual results, and we can put testing instruction. Very useful, because if someone else want to check the test, he can check our instructions and comment on that. Very, very useful. And finally, additional notes, if we want to comment anything about what we have tested, if we have found any issues, if something can be improved, whatever, okay? And supplemental artifacts, if, for example, we want to put our screenshots, if we want to put our screencast, our video, etc. So from to here, I think that we have finished the first part of the session. Now, I want to assign. Okay, I'm going to explain now what we are going to do. Now we have two ways, okay? On one way, I'm going to start on the unit testing part that is very complex if you don't have enough experience on PHP. And on the other side, we are going to do patch testing, like real patch testing and reports. So for the people that doesn't want to go on the unit testing part, can comment on the chat, and I'm going to assign one ticket of my list. And if you have any doubts, you can send me a message, whatever, and I can help you. Also, when I finish with the unit test explanation, that I'm going to take approximately 15 minutes, approximately 20, 15 minutes, I'm going to be free to answer all the questions regarding the patch testing. Okay, so if you have any questions, you can start working now with all the things I've been explaining. Try to get the patch, try to test it, try to do the test report. And if you have any issues, wait like 15, 20 minutes. And when I finish with the unit testing part, we get to them, okay? So, as I said, comment in the chat. I want to go on the patch testing section, and I will assign you a ticket. Otherwise, in approximately 5 minutes, I'm going to inform in the Slack that we are going to start with the unit testing part. And in 5 minutes, we start with the unit testing, okay? Now I think we can start with the unit testing part. Let's see. Remember, first of all, I want to say that I'm not going to go into the creating unit tests for now. Later, maybe I'm going to comment one ticket, but for now, I'm going to explain only how to run the unit tests. It's very, very simple. What we have to do is we have to go into our repository. This is why I was asking to download the official system, okay? And as I say, we can do the npm run start, and we start the Docker. In this case, it's already running, so it's going to say, okay, running, because it's already running. As we can do this, now we can, once we have run the Docker environment, now we can run tests. How we can run tests? There is a command, very simple, you have to take note also, is npm run test PHP, like this. And if we press enter, now it's going to run the whole PHP unit tests in the system, all the unit tests. But this, most of the time, this is not what we want. Why? Because it takes a lot. I'm going to run it. So you can see that it takes like probably 10 minutes or 15 minutes or even half an hour, depending on the computer you have. The more powerful the computer, the faster. But it takes a lot anyway. It's very, 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 very slow. Okay, and imagine that we are only now in the 200 and there are 25,000. Okay, so it's super slow. It's going to take 15 minutes or more. Okay, we don't want this. Why? Because what we want to do is to test only one unit test. Okay, I'm going to put an example that I have here so we can understand why we have to test unit test. In this case, this is one report I did last night, and it's about a test that is failing, okay? And we want to see what's going on here, okay? So we go into the into the terminal, okay? As we can see, this is specifically testing for one test of among all the 25,000 tests that exist inside the testing suite. There is one test, no, not one test, one group of tests, because the tests sometimes are grouped in multiple tests. For example, 20 tests or 100 tests, but not 25,000. Only a little group of tests. In this case, the group is called media. And how to run a group? Very simple. It's the same command, but we only have to add these two lines. And now we put group and the name of the group. And then I'm going to explain how we can find the name of the group. But for now, this is the command. And the name, in this case, media. There is one special type of group that is ticket group. And the ticket group is exactly the number of the ticket. In this case, for example, is 63532. But for this example, what we are going to be testing is media group, okay? We can run the test. This is going to take a little because it has, I think, 200. What happened here? NPM run test. One more of okay. It says that there is an error because probably I've been running a lot of tests yesterday. So I have to clean the environment first. This is something I explained to this morning. First, every time we have to start doing any testing, we have to clean the environment. And this is not a command that appears in the documentation, but it's very important to know. No, I think it appears. It appears, yes. But this is the first command we have to run, reset. And then we start the environment. What it does now, it re-downloads all the Docker images and starts the Docker from scratch, clean, 100% clean, okay? It takes a little bit, it's a little slow, obviously, because you have to download especially the WordPress developed image, but depending on your connection, it can take a little bit more, a little bit less. If you have a slow connection or whatever, you don't have to do this always. It's always recommended to do, but sometimes you can save one or two in between tests, okay? But generally, it's important to do. And finally, we go with install, and this takes also a little bit, but not much. It's not like super slow. So now, as you can see, I explained before, it's going to install all the elements related to the configuration of the WordPress. And I hope that after doing this, I can run the media test and it's going to work. Let's see. Meanwhile, I'm going to explain a little bit this ticket. It has reproduction instructions. I put, in this case, the reproduction instruction because I wanted to use this for today. So I wanted to be as clear as possible. Here, it says, first create a file. A file in this case is an image because we are testing images. A file called test image large in the directory. This directory. And from there, we are going to test I'm going to run again the thing. Let's see if it works now after the refresh. Okay, now it's working as expected. As I say, yesterday I was testing a lot of things and maybe it got corrupt at some point. So now, as you can see, it's running a total of 700 tests unit test. So it's going to take a little bit. And sometimes there are specific tests that are particularly slow, like this one. Each dot is a test. And this test is especially slow because probably it has to do many tasks. So this is why I say that if there are a lot of, there is a big number, it doesn't mean that it's going to be taking the exact time. It can be variable because some unit tests are slower than others. So in this case, it say, okay, the tests have run correctly. Incomplete because there are risky tests. This is not our problem. The important thing here is that there have been a total of 700 tests. Assertions. Assertions are checks. During the test, you have to do checks. For example, if 2 equal to 3, no, okay, this failed. Is 2 equal to 2? Yes, okay, the test is okay, correct. These are the tests, no? So in this case, there have been a total of 1,700 checks, okay? And finally, it skipped 3. We don't know why, but it's not relevant for us. The important thing is that this is not red. If it was red, we have a problem, okay? And what I'm saying in this report is that we have a problem. How? Because when we create in the directory, as I say, w content uploads, okay, and we go into, in this case, we are in 2025 and month the 6th, no? Yes. And we have a test and a test image, large image. And I'm going to create as an example one just for the, but you can put here if you want an image you have or whatever you want. In this case, I'm going to create a dummy file for the example, okay? So now we have the dummy file, okay? It's here, what it is, test image here, okay? We have the image file, and now perfectly, we can, again, test with the same group, okay? So now, if my report is correct, it must fail. It must throw a red error saying there is a problem here. Here, we have to fix this. So now I'm reproducing, no? This is the thing that you should do if you want to reproduce a test. In this case, we find the F means fail. One test has failed, as I was expecting, no? So now, after the tests run, we know that we can reproduce the test. But after reproducing the test, we want to do the patch testing. And how to do the patch testing, as I explained before. We are going to download the patch from here, 8899. Okay, we have a failure. Now we can do th patch. No, I'm going to do the other method. So we can have all the methods in practice. Okay, and npm run grunt patch, and we have to copy the URL of the patch. Here it is. Okay. And if everything runs patching file, perfect. Okay, now we have 4 things modified. Why? I thought that it was only 1. Why it has modified 3? Sorry, because I didn't refresh the previous patch. Okay, sorry. Okay, now we're going to patch again. Git status. Okay, now correct. So now we have the file patched, as I've explained, and now we do the git this. Okay. No. The test. We run the test here. So now, if everything is okay, now the patch should go fine as it did before I introduced the dummy image in the directory to provoke the error. Okay, now we start seeing what is going on here. 1 second. A lot of errors here. now the patch is correct. So it's important. The patch is correct. And now I'm seeing that there are a lot of errors and I'm not sure what's going on. Okay. Okay. The problem is that I've used a dummy file instead of a real file. I'm going to put out a real file because otherwise it's going to fail. Sorry about that. I didn't remember that was necessary. So I'm going to put a real um, data, I think, no? Or image. Image? No, image. No. I think it's here. It's here in data. No, here. Okay. Image large. No. Test image large. Okay. Search the web content uploads. Okay. There it is. No. Okay. Now, technically, there is a real image in the directory as it should. So now I can run again the um, the test. It probably failed because it was trying to get the image, and I found that it was a blank file. So it was trying to check if the image was correct, and it found that this was completely broken. So now I see that the error has gone as expected, and now it should pass the test, and we can write the patch report the test report. Sorry. For example, this person has already posted his test report. Like, okay, everything is right, and the report is working. And now we can say that okay, it's okay. So now we can confirm that everything is okay, and we can put our report as explained before. Everything is right. I wanted to explain here, sorry, that how to test. This is important, no? But now there is another part that I want to comment, and it's how to build a unit test. Here I have two examples. I have not done them. I want someone maybe that wants to try to solve them. This is a little bit more complex. So I'm going to show the test, and after this, what I'm going to do is if anyone want to try to solve any of these two, he can write in the chat, and I will go with them and try to see if we can solve them. For the rest that don't want to do the unit test because they don't feel confident or whatever, we can do patch testing. Okay, what I mentioned before, we can go and do patch testing. I can, if you want, you can write in the chat, and I will assign you one patch testing like this one, for example, and we can try to reproduce it, test the patch, and write the report. And by the end of the session today, we can do all the thing, no, that everything every time are done when we finish this type of events, no. Okay, so now we are going to go on the patch. For this example, I'm going to be using this one specifically. Okay, this is the file I've modified. But here, if we go a little bit down in the report here, Sergey says, "Hi, thank you for the ticket," and he says, "I think that a safer approach would perhaps be to delete the pre-existing file. Otherwise, there might be a collision if a test expects an attachment with the same name but different data." So basically, what he's saying is that, okay, you have done a good test, but there is a problem. A good test, no, sorry, a good modification to solve the testing problem, but there is a problem. We will prefer that we actually, during the test phase, you check if that image exists and you delete it. Okay, you clean the directory. The thing here is, please clean the directory before, the file before testing, okay? The problem here is that in this case specifically, one second, uh, content uploads, here, no? The problem is that this directory is a directory from WordPress. So I have a lot of test images. I have a lot of elements. For example, this video I use for testing. I have another image for testing, etc. So I cannot delete this directory because I use it for testing. It's a directory that I want to preserve. So in this case, we cannot simply go and say, check the directory, delete the whole directory. We have to only delete the specific testing image we are going to use. Okay, so first of all, when we write the modification, in this case, we are reviewing code, no? So we go here into the pull request and we check what code I wrote. I wrote a code that what does is, for this specific scenario, here we have a function that is create upload object. What it does is creates a new object. In this case, the image, no? So it's creating the image. It's not creating actually, it's copying the image from another place to the upload directory, and then it attach the file with the files database element in the WordPress. So now we have an image in the uploads directory and an image referenced in the database. So as an attachment, no? This is what does this function, okay? What I have done, okay, please check if that file already exists before copying the file to the directory, because what happens if you copy the file to the directory and the file already exists? It would throw an error, okay? So the error we was seeing before. So what we want is to check if the file already exists, and if it doesn't exist, if it already exists, use it. We have a file there, use it, link this file to the attachment database and use it. There is a problem with this approach, a big problem I haven't noticed until now, that if the file is not a image, it's going to also fail, okay? Why? Because as we have seen before, this only takes images for the tests. So this is not perfect. This has one flaw, and we have to solve the flaw. So to this point, we are going to go into the realm of development. It's not only testing. Here we can also unit test. Unit test is part of the development process, and to some extent is part of the testing team. Not 100%, because most of the team for development do unit tests, but the testing team also have a little duty here to create new unit tests, okay? So in this case, we have to create a unit test. We have to modify the current unit test in order to delete the image before it starts all checks. So in this case, if we do this, it wouldn't do all this. It will be directly a new, as it was starting from scratch. Okay, how to do this? Well, first of all, we have to. I'm going to show this from the terminal. I'm not going to go into the visual code or whatever. I want to keep this as simple as possible. We go into here to the tests directory, PHP unit directory, and then here there is another. Okay, here we have to find one directory that is called media. No, it's the one that is related to the media elements. I think that is this one called. I'm going to use nano media PHP here. Okay, we have here the code for this. I'm not going to solve this. I'm going to explain how it could be solved. Okay, so here we have this. Now we are going to enter in the realm of unit testing. So you have to understand a little some concepts, very simple, about how unit testing works, specifically with PHP unit. Okay, so in this case, there is a function that is used, and specifically not only PHP unit, but a sub-branch of PHP unit specifically designed for WordPress, where it uses some function special like this one, double P setup before class. Okay, this is a function that runs every time a new test is going to be run only for media, not for the rest of the patches, only for media. So in this case, every time one of these, for example, this test, no, it says test image caption shortcode empty width. So in this case, it's going to run one assertion, this. So every time this test runs, before it runs, it's going to run this function. Okay, always. This is like the starting function. And similarly to the starting function, there is a tear down function that is done every time that when you finish doing a test. Okay, when you start and when you finish. So obviously we have to take care of when we start. When we start, what this does? First, this start creating an upload object. Here, specifically, is where we are going to be creating that file. The file we are going to be using is the large file, this one. So here, ideally, I'm not going to do it, but I'm going to explain only. Again, here, ideally, we have to create a function or something, or use an already existing function. There are already functions in WordPress that delete files, like double P delete. Okay, so we have to create a function that delete the specific function in the specific file in the upload directory. Delete the upload. This is not the code. I'm just doing the example. Upload directories and the large file name. Okay, this is what we have to do. With a little caveat, we have to check if it already exists. We are not going to do this because otherwise we can have an error, and we don't want an error. So first we check if the file exists, then we delete it. And finally, we have a new patch, a patch that we can integrate into our into the already existing patch, this, or we can create another patch. Ideally, what I like to do in these scenarios, if there is already a patch working, I prefer to send a patch to the report instead of where is the report? Here, I prefer to attach the patch directly. Okay, here we go and browse the patch we have generated and attach it here. I prefer to do this because generally, if there is already a GitHub like this, the one I've done in this case, for example, you send the patch and then the creator of the GitHub can get this patch, introduce it in the current patch, and get the final result. Remember one thing, very important, here in WordPress, it's not like all the open source systems that you, for example, you send your pull request, and when it finishes, it appears that you have sent the pull request. Here, this doesn't happen like this. When you send anything, a patch or a pull request, whatever, it's never going to show that you put that pull request into the repository. Why? Because there is a system where only the committers, the people that has committing power, can put these patches. So the only method they use to say, okay, Harry and Francis have been working on this report is by the end of the thing, they put something like this. For example, props, Harry, Francis, for example. Okay, and this is the only way they have to say, okay, Harry and Francis have been helping here. There is no other way. So don't care to put your patch, whatever. It doesn't matter. This is collaborative, so it doesn't matter who puts the patch. The only person that is going to push that patch are the committer. So don't worry about how the patch is sent. If my rule of thumb is simple. If there is a GitHub already, unless the GitHub is very, very old, like say 2 years old, unless this, I will send a new file with the patch. To create a new file with the patch, you put in the command line patch, whatever, and it creates the patch, okay? If you don't know how the exact command, you can check it in Google. It's very simple. It's patch. I don't remember exactly because I use in VS Code, I use an extension that creates the patch for me, but it's very simple. So this is how you modify a unit test. I'm going to show finally to end this session and start with the practice. There is another one I want to take. If someone wants to take, this is a test I did very recently, like 2 days ago, and I noticed that the unit test being used here doesn't provide what is called coverage to the issue. What does this mean? This means that there are unit tests, but there is a problem. The unit tests are between quotes useless because they are not testing the actual report. They are testing another thing, but not the actual report. And what we need is to test the actual report. Okay, I'm going to show you why this is happening to finish here. And this is important because I've noticed that a lot of people are sending tests, unit tests, and they are useless because they are not actually testing the report. If you are not testing the report, it's good that the unit test different things. And I'm not going to say that they are 100% useless, but they are 50% useless because they are not actually testing the report. They are testing another thing, and this is a problem because we are not going to solve for the future the possibility that this problem comes back. Okay, so I'm going to do this example. Why I noticed this problem. So the last patch, I refreshed the patch. This, for example, I was saying before, hey, don't create another GitHub report, pull request when there is already one. But as I said also, if the request is very old, in this case, it's like 5 years old probably, or more. Let's check, but I would say from 5 years, 2020, in this case, is very old. If it's more than, like, say, 1 year, 2 years old, please open a new one because you have to refresh it. But if it's like 1 month ago, publish a patch because it's simple to integrate into the other and we can collaborate between different people inside the report. Okay, so let's go with this one. Git. So I'm going to restore first, and now I'm going to apply. Okay, patching, perfect. So now we have some new tests, and we're going to see the tests. Okay, we have these tests. For example, this one and this one, 2 tests. Okay, and also we have the patch. This is the patch. This is what it's trying to be solved. In this case, we have to read everything. We have to read the problem, which is the problem. This is the problem. And then we have to read, I provided testing instructions in case anyone wants to check this, okay? So you test the instruction and you see there is a problem and we have to solve the problem. And the problem is solved with the patch. The patch is perfect, but there is a problem. The tests themselves are not working as expected. They work, but they are not testing the problem. They are testing another thing. How can we know this? Very simple. First, we have to get the tests without the patch. This is important. Okay. As we can see here, there are 2 patches, this file and this file, and there are 2 tests, this and this. What we have to do first is test the tests, test the tests without the patch. So first we have to remove these two, okay? In VS Code, this is very simple. You go into the GitHub thing and you click to remove it. But here in the command line, git restore, and here, okay, now I have removed this patch, and now here again, git restore, okay, perfect. Now, as we can see, there are only tests. There are no patch. So now we can run the test. How we can run the test? Two methods. The first one, npm run test PHP, and we can use, as I said, the ticket number. The ticket number is a group. If you see here ticket, there are two tests in different files that are using the same ticket number. And as I said before, a ticket number is a group. So we can use group and the ticket number, okay? And we can run these two tests at the same time. This is the simplest way to run the test. If we have them grouped in a ticket number, okay? Very simple. And now we can see that without the patch, the tests are okay. So if the tests are okay without the patch, what these tests are testing exactly? They are testing something, okay, but they are not testing what they should be testing. That is the problem, the report, no? So now there is another method to run the test. If you want to know, imagine that you want to run only one test, not the group, only one. This, for example, you copy the test name, okay, and you run with filter in this case. Instead of group, filter. And in this case, it's going to run only one test, okay, instead of the two. And it has run the two tests. Why? Because I run it wrong? No, maybe there is a dependency. Or maybe the two are the same name or what? They are the same name. But okay, the problem is that the two tests has the same exact name in different files. So it's going to run all the tests that has that name. In this case, the two. Okay, but if, for example, this one was called filtered fields, whatever, it wouldn't run this one. It will run only this one. Okay, but this is a little thing I didn't notice. But with filter, you run only one test, or you run only all the tests with that name, more specifically, not only one test, all the tests with that name. And with group, you run all the tests in the group. That can be, for example, media, as we saw before, or the ticket number, this one, okay? So now we have found that these tests are incomplete, and we want to complete them. So if anyone wants to take this in the chat, he can comment, and we can see. So now, for now, I'm checking my things, and we have finished. So now we have 1 hour to do whatever you prefer to do, okay? From now is 3:30 to, let's say, a little bit less, 4:20 in Europe. In other places, you have to calculate, okay? It's 3 hours and a half more. In India, for example, and in England, it's 1 hour less. I don't know. But as I say, we are going to spend now 50 minutes approximately until 4:20. And if you want, you can get a patch or a unit test. For example, this one. Also, if multiple people want to take this unit test or the other one, perfect. I don't mind, because I know that this is a little bit complex and this can take a little time. But I will be here around helping. And if you want to talk with me personally, we can do a breakout room. That is a personal room that we are only 2 or 3 persons, and we can comment there anything. Okay. So if you want to go on the patch testing route, please comment in the chat here, in Zoom, not in the Slack. Here in the Zoom chat, say I want patch testing, or if you want unit testing, I want unit testing. Okay, so I'm going to leave it here for now. Whatever question you have, I'm here to help. Also, want to say that I'm going to. If you have any doubts tomorrow or any day, you can open me a private message in Slack, and we can comment. I'm talking with a lot of people here in Slack, testers. I also like to talk with testers a lot because we can comment different things and we can be updated and all that. And I'm trying also to build a little group of testers that we know each other and we can help each other also to test everything and all that. Okay, so don't be shy to write me on private message. You have any doubts? But for now, as I said, we are going to go into the chat here, like Nikum that has already wrote, and he wants to go into unit testing. So unit testing or patch testing, whatever you prefer. So I'm going to leave it here for now.